Genius for life. Coconut smoothies coming at you. Hello, welcome to episode 134 of 15 Minutes of Genius. It's an awesome show. I'm not just saying that because I host it. It's a really great show. We bring on entrepreneurs, investors, movers and shakers in the industry, and this gentleman is definitely one of them. He is an absolute legend. Before announcing him and his presence on the show, I want to give a big plug to Mark Nicholas, Mark at ManhattanBeachStudios.net. There he is, bumping and riding right there. He's got a haircut, too. I just noticed that. Nice haircut. All right. I don't know. Maybe it's his headphones putting his hair down. Or he has a haircut. I can't tell. All right. Either way, he is the guy. He's the guy running this entire thing. And I'm here. I just show up and sit on a chair and run the show, and he does the rest. Isn't that great? I don't have to worry about anything except being me. All right. So our guest, without further ado, Barry Nalebuff. He's been in the industry for a long time. But even longer, he's been a professor, the Milton Steinbach Professor at Yale University, 32 years there. He's the co-founder of Real Made Overnight Oats. He is also the co-founder and chairman of Kombrewcha, which just sold, and also most notoriously, the co-founder with Seth Goldman of Honest Tea that everyone has heard of. Barry, how's it going, my friend?
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. You have the most awesome background, just that bright blue. Is that what you do? Do you do all your meetings with that like bright blue background, or?
It's a green screen that's blue, and with a different technology, I would be projecting images on it. But today, whatever it is that we're using doesn't really go for the virtual background. So this way, it's just not distracting to people.
Got it. I would like to see. I would like to see, like monkeys on like unicycles just going in circles behind you or something. That'd be entertaining.
Yeah. Well, hey, stop those circles. Keep it down, monks.
Oh, man. No, there's no shortage of humor whenever I talk with Barry. So I first met you at Expo West 2019. You came up to our booth for Genius Juice. You gave me Real Made. You're like, try some great oatmeal. I was like, this is awesome. Yeah. Then you said, where's my Genius? I want my Genius. And so we set aside a case for you in the freezer. We actually froze it for you to make sure that it would last for your trip home.
I brought it to France with me.
All the way to France, that's right. And
I brought it to France, and it made it there, and it is awesome. The mocha is definitely my go-to morning breakfast. So it gives me the coffee. It's now that I've become vegan, it's even more my go-to.
Love that. Love it. So thank you for supporting the brand, for liking the product, and I'm glad I got you that case. Glad it lasted all the way to Europe. So let's go in to your story, okay? There's a lot to unpack here. There's a lot. So I know you're used to probably consolidating this into a 10, 15-minute segment. Tell us about, I want to hear first about the story on how you met Seth for Honest Tea. I know it's in a book, for those that haven't read it, Mission in a Bottle, about the story of Honest Tea. But tell us how you met Seth, how that came to be, and how you created Honest Tea. I want to start there.
Well, he was my student at Yale, and he was a great student. And I was advising him on his first business plan, which was to put a test strip in diapers to detect urinary tract infection. And he won first place in the business plan competition, $25,000. And he also turned it down because he realized he didn't want to be the UTI king for diapers, in spite of the fact that it made a great idea because you could then turn a diaper into a medical device. So I respected him for that. I loved him as a smart, curious, energetic student. And 4 years later, after he had been working at Calvert Fund, he called me up and said, I remember that case study we talked about, the Coke versus Pepsi, and why don't they make a beverage that makes sense? And I said, yeah, I do remember. And I had just gone to India, had discovered that there's great tea that people drink in India. And what we've been drinking in the United States was really the bottom of the barrel, so to speak. And great tea costs a nickel a cup. And so let's bring great tea to America. Let's do for tea what Starbucks had done for coffee.
And it's from there, after talking, meeting with him, and realizing this is a great idea, you went out to do it. Did you raise capital? Did you use your own money? Tell us more about how you got this off the ground.
Yeah, we funded it ourselves to do the first production run. Actually, we made the product in our kitchens in thermoses, brought it to the Whole Foods buyer, who said he'd order a truck. But the bad news was that he couldn't put it on the shelf for another 3 months. And we said, "Oh, okay, I guess we'll deal with that." And that gave us 3 months to find a manufacturing facility and also to raise money. And we essentially didn't raise money from our investors until we knew that we had a substantial order.
Got it. So from there, you launched in stores, you built this business. How many years were you running Honest Tea, and when did it sell to Coca-Cola? Tell us that process.
The first part of the sale took place in 1998.
And that was with
Sorry,
VE.
it started in 1998.
Mm-hmm.
First part of the sale was 2008, and the last part of the sale was 2011. So 13 years in the end that we ran it. And then Seth continued leading Honest Tea for another 5 years afterwards as part of Coca-Cola.
Exactly. And then so this was also part of venturing and emerging brands through
VEB.
Coca-Cola, that VEB, that initially invested in
Mm-hmm.
Honest Tea, okay, in 2008. And 2011 they bought it outright. And then
Mm-hmm.
okay, so that is a story. Again, we're consolidating many years of information into literally minutes, which takes a genius to do that, to say a lot in a little, right? To really do that. And we're doing a great job at that right here. What else?
I think it was Einstein who said you should simplify things to the point where they can't be made any simpler. So yeah, there you go.
Exactly. I love that phrase. It's Einstein. It's genius. That's our ethos. But also, I didn't have time to write you a short letter, so I wrote you a long one. I like that
Yeah.
phrase too.
Yeah, that's not Einstein, by the way.
No, definitely
Some
not.
people think it's Mark Twain or Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah. Do you know which one, or is it unknown?
It's probably known. I've heard both quoted. Basically, if it's a numbers quote, they use Einstein, and if it's a literary quote, they say Mark Twain. It's
Exactly.
generally the way it works.
Exactly. It's either one or the other these days. All right, so let's get into the other products that you also created, right? You're just like this serial with a C, I think you said, serial entrepreneur, right? You created an overnight oats brand. You have a kombucha, hard kombucha, before it really became a thing. Is that really what you're doing these days? Just creating more and more brands, going out there? What's kind of driving you today? What are you doing today? What's going on in your life?
What I'm going today is I'm celebrating the birth of my new book,
Yeah,
Split the Pie, and that's keeping me busy. And essentially, remember, my day job is being a professor at Yale, where I teach strategy, game theory, and negotiation. And really, for the last 15 years, I've been focusing on negotiation. I created a course online at Coursera, and this book brings together the way that I do things differently when it comes to negotiation.
I remember, yeah, about a year ago, you reached out to me and you said, I think we talked on the phone first. I remember the conversation, and you said, I would love for you to read an excerpt from my book, Splitting the Pie. And I was on a flight, actually, to Florida to support a
Mm-hmm.
launch in Publix. I remember it was like August last year.
Okay.
2 years ago, 2020. I think it was 2020. And I read part of the book. Then I emailed you. I'm like, this is a great. I'm not just bullshitting here. Like, it is a great book, and it makes so many awesome points about negotiating. But for those that have not read your book yet, tell us the concept of splitting the pie. Unless we're talking about eating pizza here, but I think it's something different, right?
Well, I'm a foodie, so I like to use food as my example. And New Haven is kind of famous for its pizza. The clam pizza at Pepe's and Sally's is pretty good. At least it was good when I wasn't a vegan. That's not a clam pizza that we're looking at here.
Ironically, there's pepperonis. I was about to say. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but it does make it more visually easy to see what the slices are.
Yep.
So the funny thing about negotiation is most people are confused what they're negotiating over, which seems fun. It seems peculiar. I'm like, how could you be confused? And yet they are. So here's a quick example, and it's made up just to illustrate what I'm talking about. Alice and Bob can split up a 12-slice pizza if they can agree on how to divide it up. And if they can't agree on how to divide it up, we have to say what happens. And so I'm going to say that Alice will get 4 slices and Bob will get 2. So now the question is, what does that imply about the division of the 12? And some people think you should just take the 12 and split it 6 and 6 and give both parties equal amount. Other people say, well, Alice is getting 4, Bob is getting 2. Alice is twice as strong, so Alice should get twice as much as Bob, 8 versus 4 slices of the 12. And my view is both of those arguments are wrong, that really the point of the negotiation isn't to divide up the 12 slices. It's to divide up the extra 6 slices they get by reaching an agreement. With no agreement, Alice and Bob can get 4 plus 2 or 6 slices. With an agreement, they get 12. Those extra 6 slices are the reason to do an agreement. So Alice and Bob are equally necessary to get those extra 6. You divide them 3 and 3. That means Alice gets 4 plus 3 or 7, and Bob gets 2 plus 3 or 5.
Makes sense. And I love how you explain that entire thing within a minute or a minute and a half, because that's not easy to explain. Well, kind of easy, but you did it in a very simple way to understand, which is why you're a professor.
Hopefully, it's obvious in hindsight,
yes,
but not at the time. And so let me then give you a food example of this. I have this friend who started a food company, and he's an idiot because he filed for the trademark before buying the domain name associated with the brand. He didn't realize the trademarks become public the moment that you file them.
Right.
They have to become public because otherwise how could somebody object to it? They wouldn't know what the trademark is.
Exactly.
And so when he goes to buy the domain name, he discovers that there's this troll who I'll call Edward Kahn, because that's the guy's name, who has taken it. And Edward writes to my friend and says, for $2,500, I'll sell you this domain name that you apparently want. Now, my friend's an idiot, but he's not stupid. And he does some research and discovers there's an organization called ICANN, the domain registry, who has a dispute resolution process. And what Edward has done is called registration in bad faith. He is sure to lose this dispute resolution. The problem is it costs $1,300 to go to ICANN. And so my friend writes back to Edward and says, look, this is ICANN thing. I'd much rather pay them $1,300, in which case you get 0, you slime bag, than pay your $2,500. And so Edward writes back and says, okay, $1,100. But that's as low as I'm going. And my friend writes back and says, well, look, yeah, 1,100's better than 13, but you'd be up 1,100 because you have no other use of this domain name. I'd only be up 200, right? I'm saving 200 compared to paying 1,300. That doesn't seem very fair to me. It'd be like my offering you 200 so that I'd be up 1,100 and you'd only be up 200. So the question is, what is the pie in this negotiation? What are they really negotiating over? And now I'm flipping the question to my genius over there.
They're negotiating over, I think, filling that gap where there's a price that is enough of a discount for your friend to go after it, but enough money for them to make money. But he really wants your friend to jump and be incentivized to take the deal versus go to ICANN.
What's interesting is the way you're looking at it is you're talking already about how we're dividing up the pie. What I think a negotiation has to start is, what is the pie? And in this particular case, the pie is $1,300. It's the ICANN fee.
Right.
See, my friend's going to get the domain name either way. Either ICANN's going to give it to him or Edward's going to sell it to him. So we don't have to ask what that domain name is worth. The only point of this negotiation is to save the $1,300. And my friend needs Edward just as much as Edward needs my friend in order to reach that agreement, in order to save the $1,300.
Right.
So he comes back and says, look, I'll split the $1,300, $650 with you. I'm $650 ahead, you're $650 ahead.
Yep.
And Edward tries the classic split the difference. You're at 650. I'm at 11. Let's go to 900. He'd round it up a little bit from 875. That's as low as I'll go. That's my final offer. And my friend doesn't reply. And a week later, Edward says, okay, 650, we got a deal.
Exactly.
And why? Because Edward doesn't care about fairness. He doesn't care about the pie. But my friend had a principle, and Edward had arbitrary. And principle beats arbitrary.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
And moreover, Edward was asking for 900. He had 900 to lose. My friend only had 400 to lose.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, Edward had, in some sense, his threat was a whole lot less credible.
Yeah.
And moreover, he had moved from 2,500 to 1,100 to 900. He was spaghetti. He had no backbone.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a problem with this notion of starting off with an outrageous number, because then you have to make huge amounts of movement. And the end result of that is you show you have no principle.
Exactly. Yeah, you're like, you made an offer that was so large, you could have gone much lower. You're just trying to rip me off. And you end up angering the other side, and you break that principle, right, of respecting each other in the deal, right?
Well, you have no principle. You're basically, yes, you're trying to rip me off, and then you're just making giant leaps, 2,500 to down to 1,100 to 900. Whereas my friend is like, I got a principle. There's a $1,300 pie. I'm treating you fairly. 650, 650. If you have some reason to think why I should do it differently than that, I'm all ears. But just threatening me with an ultimatum, that's not a principle.
Yeah, no way to do a deal. Yeah.
And as you've probably guessed, my friend was me. And the other moral of the story is buy the damn domain name for $12.50 before you file for the trademark.
That is a good lesson. That is a good lesson. Yeah.
It's an expensive lesson, but hopefully your listeners will not make that same mistake.
Exactly. Domain names, they're $10 on GoDaddy. Just buy it. Just buy it. So this book, all right, that was an amazing, that was an amazing detour just talking about that example. I remember now, 2 years ago, year and a half, reading it on the plane. So 2 questions I have. Was that principle put into motion and effect in your negotiations for selling one of your brands? Was that your strategy? And is that how the deal got done?
It was. And that was the first time the idea of split the pie left the academic setting and went into the world.
Got it.
So I first messed up. We were negotiating with Derek von Ransberg at VEB, and he asked me for a price, and I gave a number that was probably ridiculous, to which he said, great, where do I sign? And I'm sort of like, oh my God, fantastic. And then he says, just kidding. And I realized that, that was probably not the right way to start. And so I said, okay, look, let's, time out. Let's start again. Let's talk about why we're doing this deal. We're doing this deal so that we can achieve sales more than we could do on our own. And we're not ready to sell you the company now, but we're prepared to sell it to you in 3 years. We think we can get to X without your help in 3 years. To the extent you're helping us with distribution, with manufacturing, with purchasing, we're going to do something above X. Well, that's the pie. And Coke is a little worried. They're saying, well, we're going to help you, but we don't want to pay more for the stuff we're doing to help. And my response is, just like the negotiation with Edward, we're both needed to make that number above X. We need your help, but you need the vehicle on which to help. And therefore, you should pay full price on sales up to X and half price on sales above X. And let's focus on how we can get the numbers above X as big as possible.
Yeah.
And we agreed on that principle in the first hour. Now, we had some disputes about what X would be, and we had some disputes about what the market price was for X. But those were both data questions as opposed to, in some sense, negotiation points.
When I'm listening to the story, I think the main principle that I think of is that a lot of owners make this mistake where they get too hung up on giving away equity, right? For the right partner, for the right strategic partner, and realizing that if you hold on to your precious equity and don't bring on a strategic partner and their money, you're never going to grow the business to the size that you really ultimately want to get it to, where both parties benefit from, right? And it's like such a basic principle that people are just, you see it on Shark Tank, right? We were on Shark Tank like all the time where they say, you've seen Shark Tank, I'm sure.
I
Where like,
have.
yeah, where someone says like, and they get a good deal, like the good offer. Mark Cuban says, I'll do it for 15%. You came in here asking for 10%. I'll go to 15. And they
Yeah.
go, well, how about 12 and a half? Let's meet in the middle. And they don't realize that the value that will be brought from Mark Cuban, right? Of course, if he buys into the company and actually helps them in a perfect world,
Mm-hmm.
could be huge. And also the exposure, all the unspoken benefits of saying, I'm a Mark Cuban company. I got the
Yeah.
investment. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of benefits that you get too hung up on the numbers and not the principle of the value that the partner will bring.
Let's make the pie big.
Yeah, let's make the pie big. Exactly right. Exactly right.
And it's a different way of negotiating because if we can agree to split the pie up front, then we don't have to watch our back. We can focus all of our energy on how do we make the pie bigger.
Exactly. There's also a thing too that I realize. I mean, this is truly 15 minutes of genius. I mean, we're testing intellect from our viewers here. But when you look at it, you really need to get the help from the investors, right? You need people to come in. Is there a principle
You want
where,
smart investors, not
yeah,
dentists, unless, of course, you have some need a root canal, in which case a dentist is excellent.
exactly. You got to know what you're in it for. Now, from the investor's point of view, right, where they're pushing on the other side, they need to see the same thing that the brand is seeing, right? Where like they can't go too low. They got to also meet the brand in the middle, right? They got to have the
Yeah.
same type of philosophy.
Well, they shouldn't be asking for more of the pie than they're helping create.
Yep, exactly right. Exactly right. This is all really good stuff. So the book is out. It's on
It is.
Amazon. Amazon, right?
Amazon, it's on RJ Julia, indie books. There's a website, splitthepie.book.com, which has videos, which has a negotiation bot you could play with, a sample chapter,
I
all
love it.
sorts of good stuff.
Great. And again, for me reading the book, it's in, parts of the book, right? I haven't read the whole book yet. I'm going to buy it. I'm going to read it. Awesome book. Make sure to go out
And you're going
there,
to review it. You're
purchase.
going to review it on Amazon because that's how we make the pie big.
Exactly. There you go. Give a little and a lot happens, right? One review. All right. So let's get
Not
to our next
a
segment.
genius review.
A genius review. Bing. All right. So let's get to our next segment here, which is called Rapid Fire Questions. Rapid Fire Questions. All right. All this pizza talk has really gotten me very hungry. I'm going to go grab some food across the street between my next interview. So, all right. So let's go into these questions here quickly as possible. I'll say the questions. You're as quick as a hiccup, and you say the answers. First question. For music, which decade is the best? The 70s, 80s, or 90s?
60s.
First time ever, someone answering the 60s. He's breaking records here on 15 Minutes of Genius. What do you do for exercise?
I am a very serious table tennis player. Won 2 bronze medals at the last Maccabi Games, and I'm going to go compete again this summer. So, in my the only advantage of being above 60 is I get to play in the seniors division.
There you go. I'm sure you have an advantage there because you have a lot of energy for being in your 60s. And what is the Maccabi, you said, or what's the name of the
Yeah, it's the
competition?
Jewish Olympics. So I had to find a sport where all the people in the world who are good at it, really, they don't have a lot of Jews in those countries like China, India, Japan.
Well, it's a very limited population there as far as competing against you in ping pong. Table tennis, sorry. That's the official word for it, table tennis. All right. Movie you can watch an unlimited amount of times.
I never watch anything twice. So I don't know what movie it would be. I guess it would be like maybe Woodstock or some music of the 60s or something where basically it's like a long music video.
I would think that you would really resonate and relate to Good Will Hunting.
I saw it once. It was good.
Okay.
But yeah.
Mathematician, Nobel Prize, professor, right? Yeah.
Well, I mean, if we're going to go that way, we take the movie about John Nash. Sorry, I'm just blanking on the the Sylvia Nassar book, A Beautiful Mind. I go with The
Beautiful
Beautiful Mind.
Mind.
Go the whole way.
Go the whole way. There you go. That is definitely much further. All right, you one-upped me. Chocolate or vanilla? That's the next question.
Coffee is really my thing between those two.
Okay.
Because basically we have coffee banana is my favorite flavor of the Real Made Overnight Oats. So
Where can you get that, by the way? Real Made. Is that so? It's online stores.
It's online. It's right now online is the way to get it.
Online's the way to get it. Okay. Favorite country to travel to?
I like being home here in New Haven, but if I have to go away, New Zealand's pretty special, especially the South Island.
Got it. Isn't that where they filmed? I think Lord of the Rings or something. I think they
It
filmed
is
it in New
indeed
Zealand.
where they filmed Lord of the Rings, and the whole country feels like a Lord of the Rings place.
Got it. Love it. All right. Favorite Star Wars? I know you're not big in the movies, but favorite Star Wars character?
No, I just don't watch movies more than once.
Okay. Key difference.
I'm
Key
a
distinction.
Key difference there. Yeah. Once is different from zero. Yoda.
Yoda. What is your spirit animal?
I'm not really a spirit animal kind of person, I'd say. So we did have a great dog, and maybe that dog spirit is somewhere up there.
Do you like to drive an SUV, a coupe, or a truck?
A coupe.
For food.
I'm not an SUV person.
Yep. For food, salty or sweet?
Sour.
Sour.
Sour and bitter.
Nice. Breaking records on 15 Minutes of Genius. Yeah, different answer. Favorite day of the week and why?
I kind of like Mondays. Get the whole week going, and it's sort of I'm not behind when I start the week, so everything's fresh. I've got some energy, and everything's good to go.
Love it. Uber or Lyft?
I just go on my phone, see which one's cheaper, and these days Lyft has been a little cheaper. So maybe it's Lyft, but if Uber's cheaper, I'll go that way.
Love it. LeBron James, greatest of all time, LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant.
I'd say the hick from French Lick.
The hick from, is that Larry Bird?
That is Larry Bird.
Okay.
I grew up in Boston. I'm a Celtics guy, so
yeah.
But I'm glad you knew. I'm glad you knew that one.
Yep. Yeah. It was a very narrow field of I'm thinking greatest players and what you just said, and the fact that he's from the South and yeah.
French Lick, I don't think is the South. I think it's Indiana.
Isn't that or not South? Midwest. Meant to say Midwest.
Yeah.
Good catch.
Yeah.
Good catch. Yep. Yeah. He played. Was he on the Hoosiers and all that? Was that him or no?
I think in college he was a Hoosier, but Boston Celtics is where.
Yeah. It's a pro. Yeah. And he's also, I think, the highest. This is you'll nail me on this. This is probably wrong, but one of the highest 3-point percentages in all the game, right? Like top 3-point shooter, and free throws.
Sorry. In free throws or in 3-point shots?
Well, either. I remember he was such a great free throw shooter. It was like above 90%. He was definitely in top 25 of all time. But 3-pointers, I remember he was unstoppable. He would just nail them.
So here's my hero in that regard is Wilt Chamberlain, because he had the balls to shoot free throws underhand.
Really?
I didn't
know that.
Which is the more successful way of doing it. And so ultimately he cared about being successful rather than how it looked.
Yeah.
And that to me is a sign of really knowing what you're doing.
Yeah, he didn't care about appearances. Like one hand, just like that. Like
no, two hands.
Like
it's
two
sort
hands
of
and up. Okay, wow.
Yeah, it's basically
insane. I did not know about that. And he is the top 5 scorer of all time, I think, right, or something. Yeah.
Well, he's the only person I think who's broken 100 points in a game.
Yeah, I remember that. I mean, I didn't see it as obviously, but I remember I remember seeing it on a YouTube video. That's amazing, man. And back when he played, there was no 3-point line, right? I think, or was there?
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay, I finally stumped you. Yes. All right. Next one. All right, Terminator 1 or Terminator 2?
You know, I like Arnold early on, so I guess I want to go with one. But I've seen them both, so
Once. Seen them both once.
once. Yes.
All right. So, favorite food or drink if you're stuck on a deserted island and you cannot say any of the brands that you've ever created or worked with or Genius Juice?
Really?
That eliminates a lot of
Well,
brands.
that's not much left now. Uh, so something I could eat for really the rest of my life that's not one of my own products. Ah, that's a
Should we play the Jeopardy music? The da da
da,
da.
na, 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 na. Well, okay. I would say ice cream,
Okay.
and I'm, uh, and maybe it would be Eclipse vegan ice cream made with tahini. Chocolate tahini is unbelievable ice cream out there, and I think I could eat ice cream for every meal. Uh, Jenny's is amazing. The Revolution Gelato is amazing. There are all sorts of just uh, totally crazy, wonderful ice creams that I could happily just eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah. And actually, I guess New Haven, that's the birthplace of Ben and Jerry's, isn't it? Or that area? Or am I wrong?
Ben and Jerry's is Vermont, as far as I could
Vermont.
tell.
It's Vermont. Okay, not Connecticut.
Vermont.
I'm just thinking the North Atlantic area.
We have Arethusa ice cream. We have Ashley's, which is the frisbee catching dog ice cream, which is excellent. So we're not short of bad ice cream around here. We've got great ice cream, uh, but if you want vegan ice cream, you have to look a little harder.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of a more limited options. It's funny you're talking about tahini. Just one thing that at the startup CPG, the bowling. I don't know. Did you go to
Mhm.
Expo West this year?
I did not this year,
Okay.
sadly.
Yeah. So there was a bowling event, and there was a very small brand giving out cookies, and it was the best vegan cookie, or one of the best. I also really like Imli. That's another one. But they were giving out cookies. It was very like farmers market-ish, like the packaging and
Hmm.
everything. But it had as their base for the nut butter tahini with
Hmm.
chocolate chips in it and an
Oh
almond
my God.
flour. It was out of this world. I ate like four of them while bowling.
Yeah. So speaking of my love of ice cream, I bet that a Genius smoothie in a Taylor ice cream machine would be out of this world.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever done that?
Never done that, but I have frozen the Genius juice, the original, to
Yeah.
make like kind of
Yeah.
coconut popsicles, and
Yeah.
it's incredible. It's incredible. That should be one of our product lines, like coconut ice cream.
Exactly. That's what I'm telling you. You gotta make that happen.
Absolutely. Got to have the coconuts to get it done. All right, so that is rapid fire questions with Barry Nalebuff. We have an audience in the house. They're all around me. You just can't see them. They're clapping. Clap again, guys. You're right here. Come on, clap. Come on. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So, Barry, you're a legend, my friend, and I can't wait to read your book. Go on Amazon. Go on your website.
Get a package. Get the book. Get Real Made. It's a one package, one shipping. Save little greenhouse gases. It's all good.
Exactly. And this is all Amazon, but also your website as well. So, what's the website again to buy the book?
SplitThePieBook.com.
.com. Cool. I should have got the domain name, man, when I saw you, registering the copyright, but I missed it. I could have gotten that 650.
Well, somebody did get split. I don't know who quite has SplitThePie.com, but that one I decided, okay,
Probably a pizza joint somewhere.
yeah, or
Probably in
maybe Edward's
Chicago.
cousin.
Yeah, Edward's cousin. Too much, man. All right, Barry, awesome having you on the show. Thank you so much for joining us in such short notice, and congratulations on being you. You're the man.
Well, congratulations on everything you've done.
Thanks so much. All right, have a good night, Barry. All right, so that's episode 134. He's a legend, man. it's I can't even speak into words about how much he's done and accomplished. So make sure to check out his book. It is awesome and amazing. All right, so episode 134 in the books. Big plug to Mark Nicholas, Mark at ManhattanBeachStudios.net for all your editing desires. You can do podcasts, you can do whatever the hell you want. Just make sure to give him a call. He's a legend as well. All right, so that is it. One last thing. Make sure to split the pie and be genius, my friends.
Genius for life. Coconut smoothies coming at you.